Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my mid-May wrap-up, or all the books that I've read so far in May. This month I've already read 15 books by the time it hit May 15th, so I'm going to be going through these pretty quickly because there's a lot more books than I usually read at this point. So without further ado, let's just hop into the video. So the first book that I read was Echoes of Scotland Street, which is the fourth book in the On Dublin Street series by Samantha Young, and I loved this one. It was probably my second favorite of the series. I was like, the last two books that I read in the series were not my favorites, so I was really hesitant about continuing with this series, honestly. But I knew I really liked Samantha Young's writing, and so I picked it up and I wanted to finish the series. And I loved it. I love the dynamic between the two characters. I'm so happy that Cole got his happily ever after because I love Joe's book. So in Cole, the male main character in this book is her younger brother. So I was probably already gonna like this book just because I really liked his story. And also Shannon's story, the female main character in this book, she's got like kind of a difficult past, so it's so good. It's sort of a second chance romance, but not really. Forced proximity, yeah, it's very good. I highly recommend this one. I gave it 4.75 stars just because it wasn't my favorite in the series. Then I read Faking with Benefits by Lily Gold. I did a whole reading vlog with this and the next couple books, so I'm not going to go too far into them, but make sure you go check out that vlog if you want to hear my full thoughts. So I gave Faking with Benefits 4.25 stars. I liked it a lot more than I thought it was going to. It had a lot more substance than I was expecting, and I genuinely really liked it. Then I read Small Town Strings by N.A. Jameson, and I really liked this book, but the rating's not going to really reflect how much I really liked the book because the writing was something that just really took away from the book. Honestly, it needed a good proofread, if I'm being completely honest. So it did take away from this enjoyment, but it had all my favorite tropes in it, and I really did like it, but I gave it 3.75 stars. And then I listened to the audiobook of Her Fantasy Men by Sheila Black, and I didn't really care for this book. It was just, there was not really any plot. It was in third person. It was really confusing to follow along what was happening because it kept jumping around points of view, and the whole little bit of plot there was all based on miscommunication, so just wasn't my favorite, wasn't for me. I give it 2.75 stars. Then I read Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix, but I'm not going to talk about it too much just because I don't really want to. Everyone who's read Harry Potter has everyone's heard of Harry Potter. I don't need to go into it anyways, and I needed a comfort read, so I picked it up, but yeah. Then I listened to the audiobook for Clara and the Sun, and I liked this one a lot more than I was expecting to. I went into it really not knowing anything about the plot, and honestly, the plot is very confusing, but I think because I listened to it on audiobook, I liked it a lot more. If I was reading it physically, I think I wouldn't like it as much because I think there's a lot of information dumping because it's sort of sci-fi elements, like dystopian a bit. It is like hard to follow at some points, but overall I really liked the story. I do wish there was a bit more, the conclusion was a bit more, like I feel like it sort of ended and like you didn't really get a complete, not everything was resolved. But I kind of think that's sort of part of the genre for this kind of book, so I give it 4 stars. I liked it a lot more than I was expecting. So then I read We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lange, and I liked this book more than I was expecting. I don't typically like this kind of book where it's like a family, it follows a family and every person in the family has a secret, and it's all like accumulates to this big ending. I don't typically like those stories just because, I don't know, I just don't really like them usually, but I heard really good things about this book from my friends, so I decided to pick it up anyways, even though I don't usually like those kind of stories. And I did like it more than I was expecting, but I still didn't like it like that much. And the whole plot with sister not really telling anybody what was going on was just, I don't know, it just like, I was just like, if you just, it was all based on a miscommunication. If she had just communicated at like, then none of this would be happening, but I gave it 3.25 stars. Then I read Valentine by Samantha Young. This is a novella Valentine edition where each of the couples that have been in the On Dublin Street series got like a little Valentine's Day date, and it was really cute. I obviously loved Joe and Cam's the most, but I did like going back and seeing all the different characters again. So I give it 4 stars. It wasn't anything special, but I did really like it because I really like the characters in these books. Then I listened to the audiobook for A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins, and this is another one that I think that would have been beneficial if I hadn't read the audiobook, listened to the audiobook for it, just because I found it really confusing to follow. A bunch of the characters I felt like had a really similar name, so I was getting confused a lot when I was listening to it on who was who. I don't know, it just wasn't for me. I didn't really like it. I think that the fact that I was confused the whole time obviously did not help. So maybe if I had read it, I would have liked it a lot more, but I had pretty high expectations because she's the same person who wrote The Girl on the Train, and I love that book. So I was just expecting more, so I gave it 2.75 stars. It just wasn't for me, or maybe it would have been better if I didn't listen to the audiobook. Then I read Begin Again by Emma Lord. This book is so cute. I have heard really good things about Emma Lord's writing, so I think I'm going to have to read more because this was just so cute. It was marketed as a YA, but I think it's more NA because it does take place in college. Not that there's more explicit stuff in it, but it does take place in college, so I would have classified it as NA. It still is more of a coming of age story in ways too than a romance. The romance is more, I don't want to say it's a side plot because it's not. It's sort of just like as equally as important as the character development of the female main character. This book is super cute. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I did want more of an ending. I wanted to see more of their happily ever after, and give it 4.25 stars. Then I read An Icy Infatuation, which is the first book in the Love Abroad series by Emily Silver. And I read this on Kindle because it's on Kindle Unlimited because I got the ARC audio of the second book. Didn't really like this book. If I didn't have the ARC of the second book, I probably wouldn't have continued with this series. I just felt like the pacing was really off because it is like novella length, so like a lot of the time she's setting up this friend group for the rest of the series. It's very insta-lovey. It's just everything happens like boom boom boom, like it's a whole like lead up, and then as soon as that happens, like boom 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 boom, and it's very quick. So I just thought the pacing was really off. The only thing I really liked about this book was the characters, which is a reason why I was excited to continue with it, because I really liked the best friend in this, which is Abe, and the second book was about her. So I gave this one 2.75 stars, but I gave the second book 4 stars. I liked it a lot more, and I don't know if it's just because I listened to the audiobook, so it just felt more alive, the story, but I really liked the second one. It's so cute. I did get this one as an ARC, so thank you to Forever and Always PR for sending it to me, because I loved this audiobook, and I think that if I continue the series, it will definitely be on audio, just because I thought the audiobook was so well done. I felt like this one, the pacing was a lot better. Like it didn't feel really novella length. This one felt like you're getting a full story in the 200 or so pages that there was. I still feel like the ending was really rushed. We basically, like, the third act conflict was like in the last in the last 4 chapters, and then we only have the last 1 chapter of them reconciling and getting back together and having their happily ever after. It was just really quick ending, but I did like the fact that we got all the lead up a lot more in this book. And yeah, so I gave this one 4 stars. Then I listened to the audiobook of The Emma Project, which is the 4th book in the Rajas series. And after reading the last one, I wasn't too keen to pick this one up because the female main character in this one is kind of a villain in the last story. I just didn't really like her, but this book really does redeem it for her. The male main character just shows like that she like brings out the best in her, and it's a really cute story. There were parts where it was sort of like there was like parts that I'm just like that were based on miscommunication, which I didn't really care for, but overall it was a really cute, really good book, so I gave it 4 stars. Then I listened to the audiobook for Resist by Ava Harrison. This is another one that I got an audiobook arc of from Forever and Always PR, so thank you again for that. I loved this book. I really, really liked it. I was not expecting like such a drama-filled book. It's got like all the elements that I really wanted. It is hate to love, it's grumpy sunshine sort of, it's forced proximity, workplace, it's got a lot of really good tropes in it, and the audiobook narrator for this, the male audiobook narrator was Jason Clark, which I love his work. I love listening to him as an audiobook narrator. I just find his, like, you can just listen to his voice. And I liked the conflict in it. There was like not too much I can say that's wrong about it. It's slow burn. It was a really good audiobook. I definitely recommend the audiobook because I really like both the narrators. It was a little distracting because the female narrators kind of sounded like one of those TikTok voices. So, and I'm not sure if she is one of the voices, but she kind of sounded like it. So it was kind of distracting at first, if I'm going to be completely honest. I really liked it. And now I really want to pick up other books by Ava Harrison because I had such a good time reading it. I really like the romantic suspense elements. You know me, if there's romantic suspense in it, I'm probably going to like it a lot. So definitely pick that up. It just came out on the 15th on KU, and you can get it on Audible. So go check that out. But I gave it 4.5 stars. I really liked it. And last but not least, I read Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I loved this book so much. I can't even like describe to you how much I loved this book. I related to the female main character in this book so much with the people-pleasing stuff. Honestly, I don't think I've ever read a character that I related to more than her. I loved it. I loved the friend group in this. Emily Henry can do no wrong in my books. I know that this book was kind of controversial, that a lot of people didn't actually really like it, but I did. I will say I was a little disappointed in the ending, but overall, I'm just going to take the female main character's word for it that she is happy. And she didn't just change her plans for a male because she said she didn't. They recognized that it kind of looked like that. So I'm taking her word for it and I'm giving it 5 stars because I loved it. I cried so much in this book, and I also laughed out loud quite a few times. So good, so good. Okay, and those are all 15 books that I've read so far in this month of May. I'm hoping that I slow down a little bit because that was a lot of books to talk about in one video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite book that you've read so far this month is, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.